War in Ukraine, more coverage. Every now and again, Boris lights a cigarette and nervously smokes away as he watches workers on his farm remove and repair parts of a plowing machine. The decision to continue sowing and to continue work was caused by the fact that you need to work in order to pay salary to workers, to pay people from whom I rent this land, he tells me. Even though much of the Odesa region on Ukraine's Black Sea coast has been spared from the heaviest fighting, nothing is guaranteed. Russian troops seized the city of Kherson 200 kilometers, 125 miles, to the east, and its navy is believed to have up to 30 warships stationed in the waters, from where they fire missiles on land and threaten to stage an amphibious landing. He stayed to keep the farm running through the war, and as he opens a vast warehouse the size of 2 or 3 football pitches, he reveals just how tough his job is. Ukraine is the world's biggest exporter of seed oil. But right now, Boris cannot sell his harvest because, he says, the Black Sea is closed and there is no way to sell products. Boris says if he does not sell this stock within 18 months, it will rot here on his farm. A cruel irony, considering the increasing number of people around the world who are struggling to put food on their tables. Russia's shock invasion of Ukraine in late February has had a big knock-on effect on global food prices. Ukraine and Russia are big exporters of these commodities. Prices had been rising before the war because the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted supply chains and bad weather affected harvests. This is now another strain for families. In normal life, we ship grain cargoes, corn, wheat, he tells me as he shows me around his now almost empty warehouses. There are approximately 400,000 tons of grain crops on board these ships. The grain from Mr. Skyva's warehouses is usually destined for Egypt, Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia, which are already experiencing price hikes. All along Ukraine's Black Sea coast, Russia has staged a blockade and millions of tons of grain cannot leave. So what would happen if the war was to end soon? On the phone from the capital, Kyiv, he tells me, for the moment, we have enough stocks, about 20 million tons of grain. But should the conflict continue, Mr. Gorbakov is worried that many farmers will be able to survive only one more harvest without selling their crops before they become bankrupt and shut down their operations. With key production areas in Mykolaiv, Kherson and Zaporizhzhia under Russian occupation, his association expects that the next harvest will be 40% lower than the last one. We will see decreasing yields, because there won't be enough fertilizer and farmers will use cheaper seeds, he says. Despite Ukraine's large grain stocks, it's becoming harder to feed its own people. But Nika's bakery is running on reserves it stocked before the war, and she's worried there are wheat shortages to come that will affect her ability to bake. Back on the farm, Boris says he'll keep fighting the evil that's trying to destroy his business and his country. People will feel the consequences around the world, he says. As Ukraine's farmers are stretched further to the brink, the more pressure world leaders will face to end this war and to help families put food on their tables. Russia says warships still afloat after Ukraine claims strike. Ukraine's battle for justice over alleged Russian war crimes. How Russia's war threatens Brazil's indigenous land. How we spot fake news from Ukraine.